Well, WrestleMania 41 Part 2 is happening. For better or worse, hello internet, welcome to Only Kind of Everything. And if you can't tell, it's the biggest story going around the wrestling sphere right now. So, if you haven't heard yet, WWE has pulled WrestleMania from New Orleans, and although it's not officially announced yet, it is widely considered that WrestleMania 42 is going to take place in Las Vegas again. Now, let's start with the early stuff and kind of get into everything. So, basically what has happened is, if you're not aware how this works, cities and authorities, they come along and they bid for WrestleMania to come to their town. That's just how it works. It's been like that for years. It was a thing under Vince McMahon, and it's still a thing under Triple H, Nick Khan, all that whatnot. They come to WWE and go, hey, we're going to give you X amount of money so you will host WrestleMania through this city. Recently, Las Vegas has upped and come with a new significant bid. Obviously, we have no idea what New Orleans offered, but, if you want context for this, last year, WrestleMania 41, New Orleans paid $5 million to WWE to host WrestleMania. So you'd imagine it's got to be in that ballpark somewhere. New Orleans is getting a WrestleMania in the future. WWE is committed to that. And they are getting money in the bank as well as a UFC event, since TKO owns them, and it's kind of a way to, deepen and broaden that partnership between New Orleans and TKO. What's that mean for WWE and WrestleMania? Well, it's Vegas. That just seems to be what's happening. Talent are basically like, it's not a big deal for us. WWE pays for it, and for talent, it's so far off. The only thing that talent is concerned with is working hard enough to be on that card. I would doubt talent really cares about location. But and that's a Fightful Select report right there. So, reactions. I think this is where this whole thing becomes a big deal. From WWE's standpoint, we're going to start with this because it's probably the one that's going to be aggravating the most people. From WWE's standpoint, this makes a lot of sense. They are going to go after whoever gives them the most money. This is not the time anymore. We're out of the time where WWE goes, well, we haven't been to Southern California or New Orleans or Chicago or wherever in a long time. It's not a matter of, what city haven't we been to and everybody gets their chance. That's just not the situation we're in anymore. That's not how WWE operates. And that's for better or worse. WWE is about making the money. It's a business, and TKO is for better or worse, a very money-driven entity. So, from WWE's standpoint, they absolutely are going to go, yeah, we're going to go to whoever pays us the most. And in this case, it looks like it's Las Vegas. The dates, I believe, were April 12th and 13th or 13th and 14th. It was in that ballpark. Those are the internally discussed dates. So WWE, they're even looking at this going, let's also look at this and say, what's the fan reaction look like to having Vegas, 2 times in a row? And the fan reaction has not been great. And that's kind of the other side of this coin. So if you look at the general reaction, most people are going to tell you this is probably not a great thing. The ticket prices were astronomical. Hotel prices are astronomical. It's Las Vegas. This stuff is expensive to begin with. Then you add WWE and WrestleMania to the mix. You're exponentially increasing how much you're charging for your venues, your hotels, and all that stuff. That's all going up. So from the fan standpoint, this is quickly going to price out people who might have been able to afford New Orleans. I can understand that upsetting a lot of people. Honestly, I'm one of them. There was at least in New Orleans, there was an opportunity that I could have potentially gone. And I think that goes for a lot of people. Las Vegas is a pricey location. It's going to price people out just out the door. There is a video going around. I saw it after Mania, and forgive me for not being able to remember who posted or anything, but I just happened to see it, where these fans are talking with Randy Orton, like right after they ran into him and got pictures, and conversationally it came up how much these people paid to go to WrestleMania. It was their first one, and they said it was like 10,000 or whatever it was, and Randy Orton was he was shocked and mortified. He audibly says that that's insane, that the cost that these fans paid to go to WrestleMania. So, you have top guys like Orton who are telling the fans that, man, the amount you paid is insane. And I wouldn't doubt that that's going to be a case going forward, that people are just going to get priced out of this for better or worse. Definitely for worse, in my opinion. But, something else to consider, and I'm not trying to, shift or whatever. WWE is going to be at this position where it's about money. And for me, in my case, I'm from Midwest Ohio. I'm sure there's a video somewhere on the channel where I mention I've gone to wrestling events locally in Columbus, Ohio. And I can't tell you the last major event off the top of my head that WWE has held. I know there was a Money in the Bank a couple years ago. Maybe 4 years ago that WWE did. I would love for a WrestleMania to be within daily driving distance. I could go, wake up in my own bed, drive to the area that WrestleMania is, spend the day, watch the show, get in my car, and drive home. That would be great for me. Everybody wants that. But WWE is about the money, and Vegas makes sense for them. So, what can be done going forward? Well, let's be honest. If WWE is a TKO, let's be real. If TKO is as driven by money and profits as we know they are, that's just the fact. That's TKO. That's what they do. The best way to show fan dissatisfaction would be, the best terms I can use, is to just not go to WrestleMania. Yeah, I'm giving you a minute to laugh and say that's not happening. But, that's the thing. If the best way fans can actually voice their beliefs and their concerns is with their wallets. The flip side argument to I'm not going to WrestleMania to protest that it's in Vegas again or whatever is it also potentially looks bad on the talent that's main eventing WrestleMania. Oh man, Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton and Jey Uso and Gunther and whatever big name you want to say. Well, if they're main eventing and nobody shows up to that main event, what's WWE to do? Well, the first thing they're going to say is, well, so-and-so isn't a draw. That might not be the case, but that's the way it'll be looked at. And it's interesting, too, Kenny Omega, I was joking with Ricky the other day. Kenny Omega made the comment that he thinks in the next couple years we could get Logan Paul versus Mr. Beast at WrestleMania. I'm not saying that's happening, but humorously speaking, what better time to do Logan Paul versus Mr. Beast at WrestleMania than Vegas round 2? I'm not saying that'll happen, and hopefully that's a very inaccurate prediction from Kenny Omega. Which I feel like that in itself is kind of a talking point I'm going to spend a couple seconds on. Because Kenny Omega is right. Like, that's not a great main event. That's a very money-centric main event. That's a money-centric match. That's not going to be a match that anybody actually wants to see. He is right. And yet, there are actually people getting on and saying that Logan Paul is a better wrestler than Kenny Omega. Now, it's no secret. I mean, look, Roman Reigns hat. I have a Roman Reigns shirt. It is no secret that I am a WWE guy. You know, that's one of the interesting things. The way this channel was originally built was Ricky was the AEW guy. I was the WWE guy. That has changed in that Ricky is definitely more of a WWE guy than an AEW guy now. But Kenny Omega is actually really good. Logan Paul is good that he has taken to the sport of professional wrestling very quickly, but I don't know that Logan Paul could actually go on, I don't want to call it like the New Japan schedule, but you know, that's what's the AEW fans will say, well, Logan Paul can't go and do G1 Climax. You know, I believe even Kenny Omega said that even a couple months prior to this more recent statement, that he doesn't think Kenny Omega or that Logan Paul could do that. And you're right, Logan Paul can't do that, and I don't think that's what Logan Paul should be doing. What I'm saying is that Logan Paul is an entertainment piece that only really wrestles once every 2 or 3 months. So, and to point, it's always high tier, high caliber opponents that he's in these singles matches with. Could Logan Paul and, I don't know, Jey Uso, to appease the internet, because the internet thinks Jey Uso can't wrestle, even though he's one of the most over people in the company right now. Could Logan Paul and Jey Uso put on a good match? Probably not. That's not a knock on either of them, but that's just not what the company wants from them. But to say that Logan Paul is better than Kenny Omega, guys, get your head out of the sand. Get your head out of your own rear ends. Logan Paul is an entertainer, but he is not, by any stretch of the imagination, a good or a better wrestler than Kenny Omega. I didn't really mean to get on that rant. I kind of felt like that maybe could have been a video on its own accord, but anyway, that's the gist of what's going on with WrestleMania. My thoughts on the move. But what are your thoughts on the move? Who do you think could be main eventing WrestleMania 41 again, night 3? WrestleMania 41 night 3. Who do you think could be main eventing WrestleMania 42 in Vegas? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a bad idea? Where would you have rather seen WrestleMania 42 go? But let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And I will see all of you in the next video. Bye!